Hi, welcome to number 3 in my midweek camera roll. See what happens when it's unscripted? You just go with the flow. So I've got some pictures behind me here, which I want to walk through and to talk through. I've had quite a good, productive session with my camera this week. More images that have been taken when I wasn't vlogging. So there's only 38, shouldn't take too long to go through. But again, I've taken a few that I'm quite happy with actually, and it kind of makes me think, I wish I'd been vlogging at that moment in time. But we'll give it a crack, we'll see what I've got, and yeah, just talk you through it. So this week has been kind of a little patchy in terms of what I've been doing with the photography because the family were up from Cornwall, and I was babysitting the grandkids, all 4 of them, from all day Saturday. My son and daughter-in-law were at a wedding, which isn't a problem for me. I'm kind of kid-orientated, so, you know, having had 4 kids myself, and I now have, let's have a look, 3, 7, 9. I've got 9 grandchildren, so I can deal with kids. So we start in my garden because I was just, you know, when you're looking outside and the sun is washing across the trees, then it's worth just getting out the back garden and take some pictures. So I've got 3 from there. Then I took the kids to Kearney Abbey, met up with my other daughter, with her children, and basically it was just a case of Kearney Abbey, birds, scenery, trees, that kind of thing. So I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pictures from there. Then there was a scene where we had a misty morning, fabulous. So I got a couple of shots from there. I took the grandkids to Dover Castle, quite apart from my photography as a tourist at Dover Castle. Always have the camera with you, and I was fortunate enough to get to the lookout post, and from there you get a great perspective of the harbour and Dover town. So I've got a few shots from that, and then maybe 1 or 2 from inside Dover Castle. And then it was actually this morning, because my daughter's now on vacation, and Dad, can you do the cat feeding duties? So I've got to go down there in the morning and the evening. So this morning, Wednesday, I went down there, and on the way was a sunrise. So I've got some cracking shots from the sunrise. So let's get into this. Right, image number 1 from the garden. It's the cooking apples growing on the tree. I just thought, yeah, look at the way the sun is washing down on the apples and turning them red. So I caught a shot of that, and then I did a zoomy in one just to get the textures of the apples. And it's funny because my daughter-in-law from Cornwall, she said, oh, we saw the apples, we picked a few, these are going to be lovely, look how red they are, not knowing that they were cooking apples. Bit into it and did all of that. But I like this. I've got the greens and the reds and the oranges on a blue background. Quite nice. So yeah, looking at the cottage across the way, you can really see autumn is coming now. That birch tree, the leaves are all turning, and that's usually the first tree that goes when autumn comes. Those leaves will drop in the next couple of weeks, even though trees all around the area perhaps are still showing green. So yeah, then we went to Kearney Abbey, and I like Kearney Abbey because it's a great place to go just to relax. You know, you can even buy little packs of birdseed or pellets just to feed the birds, but there are always seagulls, and the seagulls were freaking the kids out. But I loved, it was a clear sky, and I got the blueness of the sky, which is reflecting in the water, which is basically, it's only a foot deep. So you get all the greys and the murkiness underneath, but if you get the right angle. And the way I was taking a picture of the old pumping station, but I've got this diagonal of the bank of the lake there. What have I got next? A single pigeon. Didn't McCartney write a song, Single Pigeon? He was just sat there on the bridge just as we were crossing over, and I thought, yeah, grab a shot of a pigeon. But then as we walked over the bridge and came underneath, you've got all the sunlight reflecting and it's bouncing off the underside of the bridge. I thought, oh, got to capture that. So I did. This could be a short video. I'm not going into details about it. I'm just saying, excuse me, while I close that, sun shining in my eyes. The obligatory ducks. But what I liked about this is because the water is so shallow, you've actually got the shadow of the ducks, and you can even see the shadow of his feet on the one on the right there. Looks really funky. 2 males and a female. Are they trying to court? But yeah, a couple of ducks. And then I thought a little bit of street photography. I saw this couple just on the other side of the lake on the bench. And I'm trying to read the body language here. You know, is there some kind of... The way the guy is leaning to his left to speak to the woman, are they a couple? Are they just strangers that have sat there? Are they trying to resolve a problem? She doesn't look happy, and he's kind of concentrating. I'm like, let's capture it because it's telling a story. Then we've got the foggy morning. So I'm driving down, going to feed the cat, and I can see the mist. And it's kind of like these cloud inversions you get, but we don't have enough mountains in Kent to get a proper cloud inversion. But where I live, it's 300 feet or meters, 300 feet above sea level. So we'll get the mist, but then if I drive down the road, it's gone. So I thought, yeah, I'll catch that. There's quite a few scenes here. So that's a pano, that's 2 shots, trying to capture the different layers, the gradients of the lightness and the darkness as it goes through. So I panned out and just captured the same thing because I think for me here, the clouds were giving me all these textures. So I've got multiple layers. I've got layers of clouds, layers of hills, and the trees in the foreground, but still that mist meandering through. The tree at the bottom of the lane, yep, I'll always stop and take a picture of this. It looks grainy, but it's actually the mist that's doing all of that. I do have Topaz Denoise AI, which I've run it through, but nonetheless I've got... It looks grainy, but it's the tree bathed in mist. So I'm driving to the cat. I'm going down one of the back lanes, and it's kind of lifting now, but this is a shot from my car. I'm like, whoa, look at the way the sun is streaming through. And I found a gap, and the gap had this chestnut tree on the left. You can see the horse chestnuts there, giving me a foreground interest, and a little bit on the right there, but all the trees in the background and the sun streaming through, and it's giving me this lovely ray. So then we're getting down the road, and there's still an overhanging mist. Now I like scenes like this because I guess it's a road scene, and I like the way it's kind of dipping down and then rising up again. And it kind of reminds me of Scandinavia, because where I used to live in Scandinavia, roads were like this. And you never had pavements where I lived. So this kind of gives me a memory of where I grew up in Norway. Albeit with 40-mile-an-hour speed signs, which are very English, aren't they? But yeah, that was the last of the mist shots. So then we went to Dover Castle with the grandkids, and it's standing on the lookout post that gives you a different aspect of the scene. If I'd have gone over to the White Cliffs of Dover Visitor Centre, I wouldn't see this shot. So on my right is the harbour, and you can see the footpath meandering up over the cliff, and you've got all the people walking up there, which is a footpath that goes to South Foreland Lighthouse at the end. So actually on the left-hand side of this image, where the people are going up, the footpath goes all along the edge, and on the right-hand side of the image, you can see a straight footpath going up. So it's a great walk. But I thought, well, I'm on the outlook post. Look at this. I can see this part of the White Cliffs of Dover that I don't normally get to see unless I go to Dover Castle. And I've got a wash of light on the far right there. So yeah, I was quite happy with that. That's an Instagram picture, that one, I reckon. So panning a little to the right, we get the harbour. And I'm always fascinated by a scene like this because it gives me kind of a vibe of activity. There's so much going on, and I can look to the right, look to the left, look at the boats, look at the horizon, look at the ships. There's so much to see. So I can actually spend a few moments just taking the whole scene in. I do like it. This is the kind of shot that you sell, isn't it, on stock photography sites, because someone will need a press image for the port of Dover. Such and such has happened. Quick, let's see if we can get a recent picture of the port of Dover. So yeah, it's a great place to take a night shot when you get light trails coming down the road. But sadly, the castle is closed at night, so you can't take that shot from the lookout post. So then, panning a little more to the right, we get the town of Dover, or at least Dover Marina. So it's that vast sea, the English Channel. We've got the clouds. And what I was seeing here, because the clouds were patchy, the sun was coming through, and you can see it on the sea. It looks like it's, well, if there were no clouds, that would just be all silver, wouldn't it? But you can see the cloud patterns on the water. And then on the right, Shakespeare Cliff is shrouded in darkness, but as you come forward, which is closer to Fort Redoubt, you've got a wash of sunlight on the grassy cliff there. And then you've got the crescent. I forget what it's called. Is it like Waterloo Crescent, I think? You see the houses going down. French for crescent is croissant, if you didn't know. I then panned a little to the right, and I caught the two harbour arms, which is the gateway into the harbour. So obviously the harbour arms act as a breaker. So when it's really rough sea out there, at least the inside of the harbour is calm. And I think those harbour arms date back to the Napoleonic era. So of course they would have had bombardment in World War II and everything like that. So again, we got clouds from shadows from the clouds. There's a little boat in there, and then you've got the big tankers in the background. I don't know if this one will come out. I was trying to get a picture of the ferry crossing, but I haven't got anything to give you, for the size or the dynamic of the thing. It's just the ferry. Perspective is the word I'm looking for. Had there been a small boat, or I'd captured it just as it was leaving the harbour arm, you'd get the dynamics of the ferry. Won't be long. I'll be on that. TFDS. I was using my Sony Cybershot with the 720mm zoom reach, and I'm really quite happy with this, because this is the English Channel. It's a given. In the background is Calais, or at least the edge of Calais. So it's like you're standing on the Isle of Wight taking a shot of Southampton or Portsmouth. But it's France. And we've got a tanker and a cargo ship. And look at the tiny little boat in the foreground. You can see why the refugees don't really have a chance if their little dinghies are coming up against one of these things. So then we did a little bit of inside the lookout post, and what they've kitted it out for World War I, I believe, because if you go and look at the binocular area, they've got pictures of biplanes and zeppelins as a kind of a spotter's guide. So just looking inside the room, outside the spotter's room, you've got these bunks and the duty officer. And I love visiting these kind of places when they kind of rig them up to make them look authentic for the period. So in the spotter's room, they've rigged up all these binoculars, and you can actually, they're obviously fixed, so you're crouching down to see through. But I thought, well, I'll take a picture of that, because I then want to take a picture of what I would be seeing through the binoculars. So this shot is actually from inside that little room. I found a bit of the window that wasn't all fogged up, and you can see France as clear as day. Well, that's a bit obvious, isn't it? Because it was day and it was clear. But the race is on, because we've got two ferries drifting off towards France. And again, you can just make out Calais on the left there. The white cliffs of Calais. Who knew? So we're inside the room, and this guy comes in, dressed up in his squaddy outfit, and he says, "Oh, can you all leave the room, please? We're about to fire the cannon." We're like, what? And as we were going in, I'd seen the lady say, "We're firing the cannon at 1 o'clock." And I looked at the time, and it was still 20 minutes to go. And I thought, I've got my 4 grandkids. The eldest, I think, is 11, and the youngest is 7. No, little Freddie, 3. I'm like, how am I going to keep them occupied for 20 minutes while we have to wait for the cannon? Anyway, we went out, and this guy, this corporal, was giving a talk. He's like, "This is what we're going to do, and blah, 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 blah. And we're going to shoot the cannon, and it's going to make a bang. Stand behind the green." But the kids were enthralled. Maybe it's because he was kind of authoritarian and he had the uniform on. You kind of obey these people, but they're just like me. If I'd have put that uniform on, suddenly I'm a military personnel. Anyway, they rigged the thing up. I did take some footage with the Sony Cybershot. If I can find it, here it is. If I couldn't find it, it was because I'd deleted it by accident. Anyway, there's a shot of them firing the cannon. You've got to time it just right. He's going, "And fire!" And you know the guy's going to take a second to pull the little trigger thing. "And fire!" Click, click, click. I took 3 or 4 shots for that, just so that I could catch it with the smoke coming out. Then I took the kids into the castle. I didn't really want to take many shots in the castle because I'd done that in the previous video. But in the last video I did, I couldn't take a shot of the stained glass window in the chapel. So this time I got one. And I look at that and think, that's the castle's 1100s. Sure, it's probably been renovated over time. But how old is that masonry work and that kind of stonework? I find it fascinating just being in the place, and you see all the graffiti and everything. But I caught some of the nice washes. Then we went up. Again, I didn't take many pictures, but I did take this one at the top of the keep. And it's kind of the street photography thing in me. I want to capture something. So the couple are looking out between the battlement. I can't remember I think they're looking, where would they be looking? North. They're looking west, due west. So not over Dover, that's due south. And I thought, yeah, that's a nice little shot. Intimacy of a couple looking out over the battlement. And I turned it black and white just to see what the difference would be. Colour? Black and white. Colour? Black and white. What one do you prefer? Comment below. Because that's what they say. Everyone says, comment below. And then this morning I had to go and feed the cat, and so what I did, I took the camera with me because I could see from here that we were going to get a wash of sun. So I went via the Warren, which is where the Roman villa is, and the Martello Towers. And I pulled up at this parking spot, and the guy goes, Balfour Beatty, high-vis jacket, "We're expecting a truck to park here in the next 30 minutes. I said, "Hey, I'm just taking a picture of the sunrise. I'll be gone in 5 minutes. He said, "Oh, go for it, go for it." And it was really tricky because could I get the right settings? No. Every time I took a shot directly at the sun, it was too dark. And that's because I was handheld and I was flicking and doing all of this stuff. Last time I've done sunrise shots, it's been on a tripod and I've got the settings and I'm just clicking, clicking, clicking. but I was handheld. Anyway, we've got this bank of cloud just on the horizon, but not on the horizon. Does that make sense? You can see it in the picture. It's above. So the sun's coming up, and then it's going to disappear behind the cloud. But I'm already seeing these fabulous colours. The blues at the top are turning green, and then it goes orange underneath. You just make out all the ships on the horizon as well. I think I got one or two of them. Here's one of them. So the sun obviously to the left. I wanted to zoom in on the 3 tankers or the cargo ship, whatever it is, but also capture the cloud. I think I cut the top of the cloud off, to be quite honest, but that wasn't intentional. It just handheld, right? But I was focusing more on the boats, on the ship. Turned a little to the right and saw the Martello Tower, and yeah, the kind of that bank of cloud was going all the way across the sky. How does that kind of form? Is that because of the channel? And it's all water, and so it evaporates and rises, and then there's a circulation and all of that kind of stuff. I don't do weather, don't do geology. What is it? What do you call it? When I could research it, couldn't I, and then tell you what it is. But so I then panned to the left so that I could get the Port of Dover again. But this time I've got the cliffs coming over from Capel-le-Fern, and you can just about make out the sound mirror there. I'll do a quick zoom in, and then a quick zoom out. That's the sound mirror from 1924, 25, something like that. Prior to radar, they used the sound mirror to detect aeroplanes flying in. And it's nice. I've got some nice washes of pinks and oranges in there. So I then kind of just drove a little further down, overlooking Folkestone Harbour, because there's another little walkway. And I got a different shot of the sunrise. This is another Instagram image for the for the little daily thing that Instagram does. But I liked the fact that the sun is now popping up and hiding behind the cloud. So you see the light kind of reflecting on the clouds at the bottom. Kind of looks like upside down flames. And then you've got the different ripples of clouds. Yeah, it's a strange one, because I've got the sky above, the sea at the bottom, the layer of cloud, and the sun. I kind of liked that. So I thought I'll take a pano. So I did. 2-shot pano, kind of capturing that cloud. That's what I was going for. But I still get my ship and boats and the sun. A little dark in the foreground, but, I could lighten that up, but that would be good. I thought, let's zoom into that boat. Let's see if we can get it. And actually, it's like I've got 3 boats. I've got a little sailing ship on the left there. I've got the big boat on the horizon. And on the far right is a ferry. But it's so distant, and it's obviously shrouded in mist and cloud, that it looks like a ghost ship. Ghost ship on the horizon. I then turned around from where I was stood so that I could look at the houses, because what the sun was doing, there was another bank of cloud coming in, but the sun was washing all the underside of the cloud, and it's all wispy and stuff. It's not an award-winning picture, but for me it's capturing that cloud with the sun on it. And then finally I looked down at the beach and I took a couple of shots. There's a couple of guys walking their dogs. And I think for me here it's the silhouettes or the shadows, because the sand is all wet and I can see the reflections of the dogs and the reflections of the 2 guys. Kind of like, it's nice. There's kind of that isolation atmosphere. But if we want to talk about isolation, then there's this shot. Who are these people? Are they friends? Have they just fallen out? Don't talk to me. I'm walking this way. Oh, yeah? Well, I'm walking this way. Yeah, it's lovely. It's an isolated beach. I mean, midday, afternoon, summer, packed, REM-packed. But when you catch what do they call them? Beach combers or beach strollers. And yeah, it's a kind of a nice isolated shot. So that's what I got up to with my camera between vlogging this week. A couple of nice shots there. I was quite pleased with them, and nothing portfolio, but that's what we do, isn't it? We take our camera out, we take pictures. So yeah, that brings Midweek Camera Roll number 3 to an end. If I get out with the camera for next week, then I'll take more pictures. But for now, thanks for watching. I'll see you in another video. Bye for now.